Hi, this lesson that you're about to learn about is the Introduction to the Circulatory System. In your materials, you will have a link to the website that will walk you through and provide you the opportunity to reference the 5E model for it. So they have an engage section with a writing prompt and getting students ready for this model. So today, if you look under the Explorer, there's a couple things that will need to get set up. In setting up a lab with as many materials as you see here, I try to get a couple of things set up beforehand. And so you will be getting in your supply kit a box of scissors, a tape measure, and a little word of advice in regards to your tape measure. When you pull it out, if you press the button on the top, and then you will wind it up to put it back in. I just learned that. So there's your tape measure. So what do you want to do when you have a room full of middle schoolers? A lot of times they get antsy. So I've pre-cut the string and I've gotten the cup set out and the materials laid out on your lab tray. You will also be getting a set of these lab trays, and this will help in making your life a lot easier. So here's what you're needing to do. What you're going to have the students do first, and there are procedures on the site that you can print out easily or have them posted to Google Classroom or on your board, however you feel is best for your class. So, step one, what you're needing to do, you're going to make the model of the heart. So a lot of times you think, oh, the heart's inside of our body. How does it work? So, you're going to make the two chambers, two sides, 4 chambers. You would want to tape them together. And so again, it's best to have materials for your students, depending how you have your classroom set up. 1 per group, 1 per lab group. Maybe you have boxes. I have a lot of clear boxes that I've also set out to keep things organized and from flying around the room. Not flying, but you get it. So, to make it nice and sturdy, you put your pieces of tape. You're going to do the same thing on the second set of cups, as so. I'd recommend masking tape. This is painter's tape, but whatever works for you. You want it a little more sturdy than, say, your ordinary clear Scotch tape, but if that's all you have, it'll still do the trick. So, here's what you're needing to do. You now have the 2 halves. You are next going to take a pencil and you're going to poke a hole. You're going to poke a hole. If your cups don't work, you might want to grab a pair of scissors, get it through a little better. Maybe. Safety first, guys. All right, so now that your holes are made, so be aware of the types of cups that you get. Styrofoam also works very well for this. So now that you've made your holes, what you're needing to do is to take your straw. Again, mine has a nice little wrapper on it. You're wanting to cut it in half, or essentially make 4 even cuts. So cut it in half, cut it in half. There we go. Now, the other thing that I forgot to mention in regards to your cup is you need to label each hole. So on one of them, A, B at the bottom, C at the top of the next one, and D at the bottom of the final cup. There we go. So now, what you're needing to do is the following. So because my straws are red, and I conveniently have blue tape, you're needing to designate 2 of your straws as red and 2 for blue. And students are going to learn what that means because you're wanting to engage with the 5E model. You wanted them to take their prior knowledge and move into the learning aspect. So I'm going to designate 2 of the straws with blue tape, but you may also have them color with markers, or if you're feeling adventurous, you can have them paint. Again, your call, but middle schoolers and paint, if that's not the main objective, I'd probably steer away from that. So I have 2 halves of my straw labeled blue, and the others without the blue I have as red. So now what you're wanting to do is the following. So you're going to insert and glue one of the blue straws into opening B. And so again, if you're wanting to, you can also use tape, but you're going to put a little dab of glue again, depending on your supplies, you might decide, hey, I'm going to put glue in like a little 2-ounce cup, 4-ounce cup, and then have them use toothpicks. If you have large amounts of glue and you feel comfortable with your group of students, go for it. I'm going to take the red and put it in C. Again, just a little swirl around. You don't need a lot because, again, gravity is going to take over and cause the glue to go down the cup. And that makes a mess. So you now have your 2 cups with your straws in there. Set the other 2 aside for now. I'd recommend putting it on the tray to kind of keep it organized and your workspace clear. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take your blue yarn. Again, I've pre-cut the yarn to about 20 centimeters, which is the recommended length for this activity. But again, if you want to have your students cut with the measuring, I find that some of these things pre-cut help the lab go a little smoother. So you're then going to take the piece of the blue yarn and stick it into the open end of the blue straw. So again, for sake of making it fit better, put a little piece of tape around it. Because again, all you're really wanting to do is to get the straw, the yarn within the straw. Like so. And then you're going to do the same, but with the red straw, and you're going to match it to the red yarn to the red straw. So again, by the end, you will have color coordinating to represent the different blood vessels within our body. You don't have to wait for the glue to dry, because you might be waiting for a while, again, depending on how much glue you use. So you now have your models looking like this. The next thing you're going to do is the following. So now that you have your 2 halves set up, you're going to talk about or have them reference like your blood vessels, the different parts of the heart. Step 7, again, you're each going to get a pack of white balloons, and you're going to blow it up about 4 inches. Again, you can use your handy dandy measuring tape, but you want a diameter about 4 inches. For the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to keep it like this. But I would recommend having them do that. So you now have your balloon. And so the next thing you're going to do is take your red and blue thread. So the next thing you're wanting to do with this thread is cut about 5 or 6 little pieces, about 3 centimeters of the thread. So again, this may be something you decide I'm going to do beforehand, or you decide, you know what, students need to learn to measure, this would be a great opportunity. Again, think about how many spools of thread you want and how big your classes are. So again, for sake of demonstration, I'm just I measured the first one and then measuring the other ones for it. So that's 3, 4, and 5. So again, 5 or 6 of blue, and then you want 5, if you do 5 blue, you need 5 red. And if it's a little more than 3 centimeters, it is okay, but you don't want them extremely long, because these are going to, again, model your smaller blood vessels to show the exchange within our body. So now you have your yarn. You're also going to need kidney beans for this activity, but your nice lima beans. For the sake of demonstration, I just made a little piece. So now what you're going to do is glue the free end of, let me back up because I forgot an important step. That step is to combine your blue yarn to your balloon. And then red as well. Maybe, again, if you don't want students doing this, you can also use tape very carefully. For the sake of demonstration, we're going to do that. making sounds when I make do lab experiments. So here's that. This represents 1/2 of the exchange going within our heart. Now you're going to utilize these as well. So again, if you're looking at the website, there's a diagram to show you how it's going to look. So you're going to put a couple of the pieces of yarn and the little strings. We're now going to move on to the next part. So this next step, you're also going to do, gotta love glue. So you're going to use your glue and your tape, again for the sake of demonstration. You want to have your red threads coming off one side, about 2 or 3 per bean, just as so. Again, thread you can't really see too well, but it's there. You're also going to do the same on the other side. Same thing. You want to tape it or glue it. Again, your preference. You know your students best. I've done it both ways, so it works. I don't know if you can see that, but red and blue on either side. Now, final step of what you're needing to do, again, you notice you're trying to make like this figure 8. And so what you're needing to do with the other 2 halves of your straw, blue goes on the top in A, red goes on the bottom in D. You're going to then take your yarn yet again. So you want to measure 20 centimeters, again for the sake of demonstration, and you're going to put that off to the side, make sure the 2 are about the same. Again, you want your students to make sure to measure or to have these pre-measured. So you have your yarn. You're now going to connect them. Blue goes to blue, and red goes down to red. And what you want to make sure to do to keep your yarn in place is to tape it into the straw. And the following for the last one. And then your final step, once you have done these final measures, is you're wanting to connect your blue thread to your yarn to show the exchange. Again, glue also works for this. And then the last step is going to be on the other side. So again, the final thing is, if you have them look at it, you've just made a figure 8. And now there's the wrap up with the 5E, so we've just done the engage and explore. And so you'll then have the opportunity, you can see them connected. There's a YouTube video and some other resources and pictures if you want to have samples, maybe for your low-level students who are needing help and models. And there's great explanations for them to work on after, to recap what it is that they've learned by building this model. And there's also the elaborate, and you have an opportunity to click and print the exit slip there for you. Good luck with it.